حال الشما چطوری؟ كم فارسي. Before we begin, I want you to take a moment here with me. Let's pause. Let's ignore the sounds of our beautiful children and bring ourselves here together. Let's breathe together. Inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale slowly. Try that again with me, brother, like this. Hold your breath. And then exhale. Very slowly. If you do it too fast, you'll get dizzy. Keep breathing very slowly. Allow your body to settle. Allow your heart to soften. Allow yourself to be present. And tonight, inshallah, it's not just another community program. Tonight is a moment of remembrance, a moment of honor, a moment of connection with ourselves, with each other, and with the luminous legacy of Lady Fatemieh al-Zahra alayha salam. When we talk about her, it is easy to speak about her titles. We know them. Al-Zahra, Al-Batul, Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. What other names do you know, Sayyidah Fatemieh? There's quite a few that we know, right? So Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. What I would like you to remember tonight is her presence, her stillness, her strength through gentleness, her emotional intelligence, the way she held her home together, not through power, but through loudness, not through force, but through rahmah, mercy. Her presence, calm, emotional stability, and her spiritual grounding. She was not only the daughter of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Muhammad, she was the emotional compass of the household, the one whose presence set the tone, the one whose reactions set the environment, the one whose gentleness was a form of leadership. And tonight, in honor of her, we are asking this question. How can we build spiritually alive, emotionally healthy homes in the chaos of modern life? I see some people already have a notebook out. I encourage all of you, if you have a piece of paper and a pen, if not, you are allowed to take your phone out only for the sake of writing down notes. So I encourage you to take out your phones if you want to write down some notes, because we're going to be talking psychology in Islam. Inshallah, that way you can keep this. So these are the points we're going to go through tonight. Number one. Yes. Sure. Can we have a salawat? So number one, we're going to take a look at the family as the first school of the soul. Number two, why modern stress disrupts our emotional balance. Number three, the harmony between Islamic psychology and guidance. Number four, practical family tools, communication, rituals, and emotional attunement. Number five, challenges, conflict, overwhelm, technology, generational patterns. These are all issues we struggle with. Number six, repairing relationships and creating emotional safety. Number seven, therapy and spirituality as a holistic healing model. And number eight, closing reflections on Lady Fatemieh alayha salam. So this is not going to be a lecture. This is a moment of collective reflection and heart opening, inshallah. We're going to share and learn together. And inshallah, when I ask for questions and reflections, I just came back from ziyarah in Iraq, and I have a bag full of ziyarah goodies here. So if people share their answers, you'll get a nice gift from either Abu al-Fadl or Imam al-Hussain or Imam Ali or Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhim salam. So we're going to participate together, right? So we're going to pay attention. We're going to answer questions together. Tamam? Tamam. All right, so let's begin with the foundation of the home. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us of its sacredness in Surah Luqman, ayah 14. Are you writing this down? You probably know this. وَوَصَيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ right? So what does this mean? We have enjoined upon the human being kindness to his parents. His mother carried him in weakness upon weakness. So this is not a verse simply describing a biological process, although subhanAllah talks about how a mother carries a child from 1400 years ago. It is describing emotional inheritance, generational connection, the first classroom of the soul. Modern psychology echoes this. Dr. John Bowlby found that the emotional environment of childhood becomes the blueprint for how we trust, how we love, how we self-regulate, and how we handle conflict. Islam, subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's amazing, subhanallah. Islam taught this centuries before psychology gave it sense. So Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha, letter 31 says, the best of you is the best to what? Who can tell me? The best of you is best to his what? His, we're talking about what kind of system here? Yes, who said family? Who said family? Khanum, which Khanum? Khanum gets a sibha from Imam al-Hussain. You want to come get it? Say salawat for Khanum here. You get to go soon again. So the best of you is the best to his family. That's right. MashaAllah, we have a good crowd up here. So not the best to the mosque, not the best to the community, not the best on Instagram, but the best to your family, to the people who see the unfiltered side of you, right? The version of you that emerges when you're tired, when you're overwhelmed, when you're stressed, when you're triggered, right? So I'd like you to think about something here. Think of your childhood home growing up, okay? What was the emotional tone? Warm, strict, loud, quiet? For those of us who are already adults, what was your home like? For those of you right now, what's your home like?
Strict and warm.
Strict and warm. That's a wonderful balance, mashallah. So another question. Did people talk about feelings and emotions? By the way, what's the difference between emotions and feelings? And those of you who were at today's event, don't give us the answer. What's the difference between emotions and feelings? And there's an actual difference with the two. Because we interchange them, don't we? We use them interchangeably. They're not. Emotions, now I'm going to ask the ones who were there. Can you tell us, what are emotions? Raw, unfiltered, unconscious responses, physiological, psychological responses to something around us. So what are feelings? Feelings are, they're what?
What you show.
What you show? Okay. A little bit more than that. Can you tell us? If you remember?
After you've thought about it, after you've reflected, after you've basically
Process. Right. So emotions are the raw, unfiltered, unconscious or subconscious response, physiological. Feelings are what you've processed and the conscious awareness of that response. So they're not the same, they're different. So the emotions is that instant, and the feelings are what we reflect, all right? So the question is here again, did people talk about emotions and feelings in your family? Perhaps? Yes or no? Yes or no? Alhamdulillah. Did people avoid them? No, your family's good. Okay, we're up to par here. Great. How about the rest of you? You notice, was it avoided? People leave the emotions aside, or people talk about them? So I would imagine a mix of both, right? A mix of both, depending on the generation, depending on the culture of your family. Perhaps your family talked about these things or not. So these shape your nervous system, how you respond to everything around you. Lady Fatima's home, salam Allah alayha, it was simple. But every corner radiated what? Compassion, dhikr, service, and emotional steadiness. Her home is our blueprint and model. And today, many of us feel emotionally off balance, don't we? Right? Not because we don't love our families, but because life has become louder, than our hearts. So inshallah, let's explore why. So we are living in an era of constant input. Parents are overwhelmed. Children are overstimulated. Teens are lonely. Marriages are strained. Everybody is tired, right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives us, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He gives us the most balanced framework. إن لربك عليك حقا ولنفسك عليك حقا ولأهلك عليك حقا. What does this mean? Your Lord has a right over you. Yourself has a right over you. Your family has a right over you. This is all about balanced framework. This is divine psychology. This is the emotional boundary setting. So meanwhile, we see here nowadays, Dr. Christina Maslach, she found that she did studies on burnouts. Okay, so she found that burnout arises when emotional needs, relational needs, meaning, and connection are ignored. When those are ignored, we burn out. What does burnout mean? What do you suppose burnout is? MashaAllah, I'm so impressed by the young crowd here, really engaged, and I want to see from the back too, both the males and females. Hold that thought. I'll come back to you later. Yes, young ladies, what does burnout mean?
Me?
Yes.
Kind of like depressed, kind of like don't know what to do, feeling very lonely, feeling like nothing else matters, sad, kind of like don't know what to do.
Yeah, not motivated anymore. You're done. Like things don't affect you, and it goes deeper than depression. Depression, you feel sadness. Burnout is when you've gone past the point of that. Have you heard the expression, candles burning at both ends? That's kind of like the image we have when you're burning out. Like the candles are burning and you're burning out. Thank you so much for that. So we are living disconnected from ourselves in this burnout type of environment, in the state. Disconnected from each other, disconnected from Allah. So from each other and from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us an antidote. He gives us a solution. He gives us a strategy. And it's in Surah Al-Ra'd, Ayah 28. And please help me with this. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ala bi dhikrillah. We know this one. تطمئن القلوب. Indeed, with the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest, serenity, tranquility, calmness, right? Not in productivity, not in achievement, not in scrolling, but this rest, this raha, this rest is found in remembrance, in dhikr, in stillness, in meaning. So now that we understand why perhaps our homes could feel emotionally strained, let's talk about how to rebuild emotional and spiritual balance practically, okay? With ideas how to do it practically. So this is also a good time to take some notes down, okay? Let's explore practical ways Islam and psychology guide family life. And I'm gonna need your help on this too. So number one, communication with compassion. Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha says, do not speak harshly to anyone, even if you are angry. How many of us actually follow that? Do not speak harshly to anyone, even if you are angry. I think even when we're not angry, we still speak harshly, right? So look at what this is in psychology. Dr. John Gottman, he found that the tone of your voice can predict relationship success more than your words, your tone. For example, you never help me. You never help me. See the tone, how I'm saying it? Versus the words here, I'm overwhelmed. Can you help me with this? You see the difference? You never help me, pointing, accusing. Whereas you use an I statement, say, I'm overwhelmed. Can you help me with this? You see the difference between the two? Yep. So one shuts down the heart. The qalb, done. I don't want to listen. I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to connect with you. What does the other do? It softens the heart. It opens the heart. for communication and connection, right? So that's important. Communication with compassion. Number 2, emotional regulation. This is a buzz psychology word we hear being used around a lot lately, right? But let's look at it from the lens of Sayyidah Fatima salamullah alayha. So she modeled emotional regulation through dhikr and presence. Psychologist Dr. James Gross identifies emotional awareness, naming emotions, and intentional responding as the basic pillars of emotional intelligence. So let's repeat that. Emotional awareness. So when you become angry, you know how your body responds. You probably get tense, your voice gets loud, or it gets quiet. You know when the voice gets quiet when you're angry? That's a danger zone. I would get more afraid of that than when the voice gets louder, depending on who you are. What else do you find perhaps when you get angry? What else? Go ahead.
What I'm going through.
So how does your anger show? When you get angry, how does it show? We talked about tension.
Maybe like stress or like, you know, you had a bad day.
Yeah? Okay, so how does that show? Go ahead.
I can't think clearly.
Yes, yeah, you can't. It's hard to think clearly.
And then I make decisions that I regret later.
Oh, that's a big one. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, he taught us not to make decisions when you're angry, right? Do you remember the story when he was in battle? And then the person he was about to, finish the battle with, he spat on him. You remember what Imam Ali did? He walked away because he was going to do something out of anger. He walked away, he regulated his emotions, and he came back and finished what he needed to do based on the intention for God, not based on his anger. Do you remember that story? Maybe if you haven't, you'll hear it soon in your classes, right? What else does your body show anger? How do you show anger? Yes. How? Give me an example. None of you get angry? That's amazing. Your hands start shaking? Okay, what else? What else? Your heart? Okay, so let's look at some physiological responses. Shaking, your heart starts beating faster, perhaps start sweating, tensing up. What else? Yeah, you turn red. Breathing, yeah. And then your voice, perhaps. What else? Yeah, yes, go ahead.
I put my hands together like this.
Oh, yeah, you tense your muscles. Yeah, yeah. So you recognize. Okay, one more.
For me, and like when it's like a problem, like imagine something bad happened, and you can't really accuse it on someone when you're not mad. So it's like a team's fault. So basically, when I get angry, like yeah, so I like start blaming things on myself
Blaming things on yourself?
for no good reason.
For not good reason. So you get really hard on yourself. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Okay, we're going to hold that for later. Thank you so much.
Sometimes regret life choices.
Oh, really? Okay, you start reevaluating your life choices. So inshallah that happens if you get angry, you slow down and you kind of do that after, right? MashaAllah, you got to admit, our crowd here is really engaged. That's amazing. Absolutely. These are a lot of things that happen to us when we are angry, right? And so what we want to be able to do is take a step back, be aware. That's emotional intelligence. You know how you get angry. Me, I just raise my voice. I start saying things I don't mean, and then I regret them, like you said, regret, and I have to go back and reevaluate and apologize and take accountability and the hurtful. This is when I was younger, but I've learned now not to do that, right? So it's important to know how you respond to a stressful situation, know how you become angry, know how to de-escalate it. That's emotional awareness. Naming emotions. Sometimes right away, oh, I'm PO'd. I'm so PO'd, right? But then you have to look at what happened before you get to that point of anger. I'm frustrated. I'm hangry. Maybe I was hangry and I needed food, right? What other things could be the bad weather. I'm late. These things can lead you. So naming emotions, naming situations, being aware of that before exploding, right? And intentional responding. So in the moment of anger, from the example of Imam Ali alayhi salam, you can choose with your intention how to go forward or step aside, regulate your emotions. You're intentionally responding. So you see the psychology, how that is? Yeah? Tamam. Okay. So What is something that we could do together as a family? Each night, here's the practical strategy. What challenged you today? You can ask your family, your wife, your husband, your kids, whoever else lives with you, what challenged you today? That's a nice deep question to ask. Opens up the opportunity for connection, right? What are you grateful for? Alhamdulillah, being grateful for things, right? What do you need from us? How can we support you or help you? These types of questions softens the heart, support each other, connect with each other. Does that make sense? This deepens what? The emotional awareness, empathy, and communication with each other. Number 3, rituals that regulate our nervous system, how we respond. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 21 says, وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً و... Help me out? Rahmah, right? And He placed between you affection and mercy. Affection and mercy, they are not feelings or emotions, right? They are behaviors, okay? So rituals that bring them alive, for example, we know this is just a reminder, and a lot of what I'm saying you already know, but I'm reminding you from the psychological lens and the importance of it. Reading one Quran verse together as a family, reflecting on the meaning of it. How is this important in our day and age? Right, guys? Right? Over here. Pay attention over here. Do family dhikr together. Maybe sit down with the tasbih and choose a specific dhikr and do it together. What do you call it here in this new age way of spirituality? Mindfulness, right? Right? Being aware, mindfulness. SubhanAllah, we've had mindfulness for 1400 years. How cool is that? We've had it all along. But I don't think we have the same appreciation for it until we hear it from a different lens that's brought to us. But we've actually had mindfulness meditation for centuries now. Doing dhikr as a family can be quite powerful. A weekly gratitude circle. What could that look like? The end of the week, maybe Yom al-Jum'ah, Laylat al-Jum'ah, right? After Dua Kumail or Salat al-Jum'ah, if it's possible, you can do a gratitude circle. What are things that we are grateful for? When you think about the things that you have rather than what you don't have, Allah gives you more. Fashkuruni, give you more, right? Be grateful and thankful. I will give you more. So imagine practicing that together as a family and teaching our kids that. And then our kids remind us of that when we're having a bad day. It's pretty powerful. Perhaps a nightly dua before going to bed, right? That can be powerful as well. Dr. Feiss found that family rituals increase emotional security and strengthen bonding and trust. So psychology research today proves what we have in our rituals that we can create in our families. Number 4, who remembers the first 3? Those of you who've written it down, you have it. What was number 1? I'm going to quiz you. What was number 1? Communication with compassion. Number 2 was? You guys have this written down? Yeah, okay. They heard you say. Ahsantum. Number 3, we just talked about it. Rituals, that's right, that regulate our nervous system. Ahsantum. What's number 4? Modeling character. So children, what do? They imitate emotions, not words. They imitate how they see you respond. Lady Fatima salam Allah alayha, she didn't teach humility through lectures. She embodied it with her behavior. Dr. Albert Bandura showed that children copy your stress response, your tone, your apology, and your emotional regulation. So if you yell, they yell. If you apologize, they learn humility. If you stay calm, they learn calmness. They're like sponges, right? You guys are like sponges. When you see your parents or people around you or people you respect and admire do something, you copy it. Whether it's good or bad, you're going to copy it. So as adults, we have to be really aware how we behave in front of our kids. Perhaps you're fighting with your spouse. There are little ears listening to what you're saying and how you're behaving. Guess what? You'll get a call from the school the next day. Your child has said certain words that you had said to your spouse the night before. Why? They heard you. You modeled in front of them a certain behavior. They were upset, frustrated. They didn't know how to regulate their emotions. So guess what? In the school playground, they said the same words that you said. When you think about it that way, oh wow. You take a step back and say, wow, they're really listening. So I better do my best to model positive behavior. I'm going to get into the realities of that because it's much easier said than actually applied, right? So even with the best communication and rituals, real life happens. Arguments, breakdowns, chaos, stress, misunderstandings. So what then? So now let's look at modern challenges and timeless solutions. Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam has said, ليس منا من لم يرحم منه who أهله, right? He is not of us who does not show mercy to his family, right? So mercy is emotional intelligence in action. Remember this. Who can repeat it for me?
Emotional intelligence in action.
Is what? Mercy. Rahma, mercy, right? Is emotional intelligence in action. Okay, so what does that mean? Let's look at it from this famous psychiatrist. His name is Dr. Daniel Siegel. He calls this attunement, okay?
Does it kind of mean like trying to, get rid of, kind of like, relieve stress?
Kind of. Let's look at what attunement means. It means the ability and understanding to sense emotional cues and respond with presence. So if you want to take the idea of what our young brother said here, stress, like how to deal with it, when you watch somebody and you observe them, you are sensing from watching their body language how emotional they are. So remember we talked about some of the signs of anger? Bless you. Some of the signs of anger. We talked about the body's response and perhaps some of the psychological responses. So when you're watching somebody and you see all of these emotional cues, how do you choose to respond in presence? You could respond just as angrily because anger is almost contagious, right? You can get angry when you see somebody angry, right? So attunement here, in terms of mercy being an emotional intelligence in action, is your ability and desire and awareness and choice, when you take it a level further, to sense emotional cues and response with presence. So an example, a child crying, how do you respond? Right away. We say the words, stop crying. Shh. Shh. Right? What are we doing here? Put your hand down. Listen. You're dismissing. A child is crying, shh. You're not validating the emotions, right? So, for example, instead of saying that, what can we say? We can say, I see something is upsetting you. Come here. This is attunement. I see something is upsetting you. We're reading the cues of what that child or that other person is showing us, right? What it means here, it's building security, amana, right? Aman, rather, security. And dismissal, what is the dismissed child going to feel, or person in general? What are you going to feel? Stressed? Anxious? Not happy, exactly, right? So this attunement, the ability to respond to the emotional cues, it creates security, secure, healthy attachment. It reduces anxiety. So the secret ingredient here is how to repair, because in reality, we're going to be doing this, right? This is going to happen. We have to repair. Families fall apart not from conflict or those issues, but from the absence of repairing, from the absence of trying to fix the problem. That's where families fall apart. So what does repair look like? Who can give me an example? Listen to the whole question before you raise your hand. What does the absence of repair look like? By the way, I used to be a teacher. That's why I talk to you like that. I used to teach. What does the absence of repair look like? Go ahead.
I think it looks like like it's the baby is like child is crying,
Right.
and then like everybody gets like annoyed, mad, overwhelmed, stressed.
Okay. So how does when there's no repairing, fixing of the challenge here, what would it sound like? Sorry, when you try to repair and fix, what does it sound like? Give me an example of what you could say to somebody when you're trying to fix the problem. Okay, go ahead.
Like, you could say, like, come here and tell
Yes.
me what's the problem.
Yeah.
So maybe you can fix it.
Yeah. Okay. So listening to somebody, validating the pain, right? What else? Go ahead. The brother next to you.
Like saying let's work things out. Like what's the problem? Let's work things out.
Yeah. Okay. So the willingness to do that. I want to see more hands. Why is it just these young men here? MashaAllah, that's amazing. But I want to see more hands as well. Okay, one more, but then I'm going to go to the back. Okay, let that brother next to you there. The brother next to you. The one next to you?
You said you pointed at me.
Okay, fine, go ahead. So what does fixing mean? How can you show an example of what does fixing mean?
So like someone is like,
Just give me one sentence of what it sounds like.
it
When you're
sounds
trying to
like
fix-
you're trying to it's kind of like a
Pretend,
puzzle.
one second. Pretend you're trying to fix a problem. What would you tell somebody?
I
Just
would
give me a
s-
sentence. Just tell me the sentence.
I would tell someone to maybe like
Okay, think
give
about
them
it.
inspiration or something like that.
We're kind of getting there. Hold your thought. Back there, please. The sister back there. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate your participation. Let's give the opportunity to others participate with you. Can we have a salawat? So the sister, yeah, go ahead.
So I can say, I know you are angry. I want to help you. Do you want to explain what happens there? And then sometimes I get angry too.
So what would you say? I want a sentence. I'll give you an example so we understand. I'm sorry. Simple. I am sorry. Apologizing is repairing. Humility. I am sorry. العفو. How do you say it in Farsi? I forgot. Babashir? Yeah. So saying I'm sorry is starting to repair. Another example, let's start over. Let's have reset. Let's start this conversation over. Or I did not mean that. When you say something hurtfully to somebody, hurtful, I did not mean that. I apologize. Thank you for your patience. This looks like repairing, fixing, starting to understand. Does that make sense? So when we repair, what happens? It brings the hearts back together. Ahsantum. So sometimes repair needs a little support. It needs tools, structure, guidance. And this is where therapy and spirituality, they come together. So let's take a look at that. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he has a saying that said, tie your camel, then trust in Allah. What does that mean? It means take action, then trust in Allah. Therapy, you could say, is tying the camel. Dua is trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Islamic psychology teaches us that when one part of ourselves is hurt, the others feel it. So what parts of ourselves are we looking at? There's a few names. We know this from the Holy Quran, but not maybe from the psychological perspective. The nafs. The nafs is the emotional self with temptations and reactions. The qalb, the spiritual heart that feels closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ruh, the pure soul, untouched and always connected to the divine. And the aql, the intellect, the critical thinking mind, these are all interconnected. So, let's look at this real life example. A family that is struggling with constant tension, okay? They begin therapy to learn communication skills, all right? So they introduce, for example, a weekly family dua that they chose together. They start apologizing more, and they learn to pause, stop, before they react. So before they say something hurtful, they take a step back. And then subhanAllah, because they practice this and they meet the therapy weekly, 6 weeks later, the entire emotional climate in the house shifts. It changes. This is when healing, shifa, this becomes holistic. Okay? It encompasses everything. So, as we come to the end of our time in terms of just exploring, because every single one of these topics that we spoke about tonight is a whole lecture on its own. It's a whole presentation on its own. Communication skills, healing strategies, what to say, understanding how your body responds, triggers, and so on and so forth. Because all of us have a history. All of us have some kind of past. Whether you're this age or that age, this gender, the family history, the way we are brought up, our genetics, our socioeconomical background, whether it's back home in our countries, here, all of these factors together have an influence on how we're going to respond to challenges that happen in our lives, right? So, with that in mind, I want you to pause just for a moment again and really absorb everything that your heart has heard tonight. We began tonight in the shadow of the luminous legacy of Lady Fatemieh al-Zahra alayha salam, a woman whose home was not large, it was not luxurious, it was not filled with worldly ease, and yet it was a home that shaped imams, a home that raised generations, a home that became a blueprint for emotional and spiritual well-being for every Muslim family after her. And so tonight we traveled through the Quran's vision of the family, the insights of the Ahlul Bayt salam Allah alayhum, the findings of modern psychology. And what is remarkable here is how they all point towards the same truth. The emotional climate of our homes is the soil which the hearts grow. And in every one of us here, in this room, inshallah, is a gardener, is a type of gardener in that soil. So before we leave tonight, I want you to take with you a deeper, think a little bit deeper into a moment of self-reflection and a moment of accountability and a moment of hope. So, what does a moment of inner reflection look like? Ask yourself silently in your heart this question. What is the emotional atmosphere of my home right now? Whatever age you are, whatever background you are, little khanums, I want you to listen. Little khanums, listen over here. What is the emotional atmosphere of my home right now? Look inside your head, in your heart. What does my home look like right now? If my walls of my home could speak, what tone would they describe? What would they see? If my children could name one word for the home's energy, what would it be? If my spouse or parents could describe how they feel around me, what would they say? Our children are quite excited to play, that's for sure. And you know, hearing the sounds of children in our centers, in our mosques, is a beautiful thing, because it shows that they feel comfortable here, that it's a place of safety for them to be themselves. At the same time, we want to keep them actively busy so that the rest of us who are here can listen, because we need that time out kind of for ourselves, right? So it's nice to hear the children's voice. It's okay. And most importantly, if Lady Fatemieh salam Allah alayha walked into my home tonight, what would she feel? What would she advise me to soften in my heart? What would she ask me to strengthen, to release, to repair? So as we reflect through these questions, Let them come into your mind without judgment, with honesty and gentleness. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Come sit next to me, okay? Because tonight is not about guilt. Because perhaps some of the questions that we reflected, we feel guilty. I yelled at my child. I said something mean to my wife. I dismissed. We do this. So the most important thing here is not to allow the guilt, the nafs al-lawama, to tell you should have, could have, would have. Listen, be aware if you're feeling any heavy negative thoughts. It's about awakening. Wa'i in Arabic, awakening, awareness. Okay? Number 2, a moment of emotional honesty. Emotional honesty. So, families can be messy. Our emotions are messy. Our past, our history, messy. And that's okay. That's normal. That's life. We are not ma'asumeen. We are not perfect. We strive towards being the best. A little something that you can take with you tonight about this is, I will do my best and Allah will do the rest. Whether you're a child, a young khanum, a young, older, agha, whatever you are. Remember this. I will do my best. And what was the other word? Do you remember? What was it? Allah will do the rest. Yes. I will do my best. Say it with me. And Allah will do the rest. This is very powerful. This is a very powerful thought to help us when we are feeling everything is so overwhelming and heavy. And I have to be perfect. Have a perfect home, very clean. Everything's in order. The structure. No. We're human. We're not masumin. You do your best and Allah will do the rest. Absolutely. Our pasts are messy. Our wounds, our pain, they can be messy. Like I said, that's okay because every family has misunderstandings. We have conflict. We have hurt feelings. We have silence. We have tension. We have emotional baggage. We have generational pain. The stories, my friends, as a therapist that I've listened to for the last 20 years, if it wasn't for taking care of myself and listening to people's stories, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you sharing this. Because it's very heavy what challenges that families can have. And you are not alone. What matters is not the mess, but the movement towards healing. That's what's important here. Remember this psychological truth from family systems theory. Listen to this. It says, what is not healed is repeated. If you don't work on the healing, it's going to repeat. When you repeat, what's going to happen? The younger ones, like we said, they're going to watch and observe you. They take it. They're going to repeat the cycle. Intergenerational cyclic trauma. It continues. So what is not healed is repeated. What is healed is released. And remember, this spiritual truth from the Ahl al-Bayt, salam Allah alayhum. Mercy, rahmah, is greater than anger. Forgiveness is higher than justice. Softness is stronger than harshness. And your home does not need perfection. It needs presence, being aware, present. Number 3, a promise for your future. Before we leave, I want every single person here to make a quiet internal commitment to yourself. Not to perfection, not to dramatic transformation, but to one small shift in honor of who we are honoring tonight, of Lady Fatemieh, salam Allah alayha. In honor of her. Reflect right now. See if you can write it down. Maybe that shift is a softer tone with someone you normally speak very harsh or firm to. Maybe you can change the way you speak. Maybe a nightly dua with your children or with your family, with your partner. Or how was your day? with real listening. You know how we say, how are you? How's it going? Yeah. No, really say, Halu Shuma. How are you? How are you feeling? From your heart. An apology you've been holding back. Maybe there's somebody you need to say you were sorry to. Maybe it's family. You know how important Salat al-Raham is, right? Family. Maybe it's somebody you're holding anger towards. Maybe a hug that lasts a few seconds longer. You know, when you greet somebody and you hold them for 20 seconds, there is a special hormone that is released in our body. It's a feel-good hormone. Anybody come across it before? What's it called? But what's the name of this specific hormone? Ahsantum, oxytocin. It's called the love hormone. So next time you meet somebody or somebody needs, you feel they need it, hold for 20 seconds. And you can tell them, I'm holding you for 20 seconds until I feel and you feel the oxytocin so it doesn't feel creepy, so that we can both feel good. Right? It's very powerful. That's why a hug that lasts a little bit longer is very healing. A moment of dhikr before sleep. What could dhikr be? Very basic ones that we have, but very powerful. Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah. Subhanallah. Tasbihat al-Zahra. You know the Fatemieh that we were listening to earlier? Tasbihat al-Zahra. This was a gift to our beloved Sayyidah Fatima, and she taught us this. There's spiritual healing in the tasbih of Fatima al-Zahra, salamullah alayha. Alhamdulillah is gratitude. Well, we first, Allahu Akbar, right? Allahu Akbar, when you think of your problems, when you think of your challenges, who is greater than anything? And we can't compare. I learned this in an Islamic course I was taking. You cannot compare to Allah, but when we say Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater than any of these challenges. Alhamdulillah, gratitude. And the more you become aware of your gratitude, the more Allah gives you. The more you focus on what you have than what you don't have, you feel good. And subhanallah, praise to Allah for anything beautiful. Like subhanallah, the weather you were having the last 2 days, I wasn't expecting this when I came down here. I was expecting sun, but beautiful clouds in the sky and the sun that came out today with the mountains. Subhanallah, the majesty of Allah. Simple dhikr, but has so much immense healing. So maybe some dhikr before you go to bed can be really powerful in how your brain functions and how you think and feel before you go into alim al-ghayb. And when your body restores the brain cells, the memory, the body fixes itself. And you know, the last thoughts you have before you go to bed can come in your dream and affect your mood and energy the next day. So imagine if you do dhikr before you go to bed. Most of us know that. This is just a reminder. And those who don't know, you can practice this, inshallah. A pause before reacting in anger. We talked about emotional awareness and intelligence. You take a step back and you decide in that moment, am I going to choose this path or this path? At the second you become aware, you can stop. You can stop that mean word. You can stop that hurtful phrase or that look. I'm going to stop. I'm going to choose to hold my anger. Kadhim al-ghayz. You heard that expression? Why is Imam Musa al-Kadhim called al-Kadhim? Right? To hold your anger. Do some emotional regulation, breathing, do tasbih. Maybe, the balls are gone. I had 2 stress balls here. You can use them. If the kids have them, please explain to them how to use it. If an adult took them, great. I want you to use that stress ball to squeeze your stress and your anger and release. They're meant for stress relief.
I use that every time during class.
Is it helpful? Alhamdulillah. So you heard the brother? It's very helpful. So get stress balls if you have them. A genuine I appreciate you to somebody who needs to hear it. Is there somebody that you know in your life who needs to hear that? Maybe yourself. Maybe you need to say that to yourself. I appreciate all the hard work that I do to take care of myself, my family, my friends. I appreciate and value myself. These are small little shifts, but they have massive ripple effects because psychology tells us that tiny changes in emotional behavior create lasting rewiring of the brain. You know, the brain has a network of neurons and all this amazing stuff in there, inshallah. When you do those small things, the brain rewires itself. You create stronger pathways in the neural pathway that create positive ripple effects. And in Islam, it tells us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the small deeds done consistently. One shift tonight in honor of Sayyidah Fatima salamullah alayha. Think of something that you can do to shift. Just a little shift. Number 4, and let's end inshallah here, closing with Lady Fatima salamullah alayha. So let's imagine, just for a moment, that Lady Fatima alayhi salam is standing here with us. And we know, we are taught by our scholars, that she attends every majlis. She attends, so imagine, inshallah, she's here with us tonight. Her gentle gaze is filled with compassion. Her presence is filled with light. Her heart is filled with mercy. What would she hope for our families? What would she ask of our hearts? What would she want to see in our marriages, our parenting, our communication, our interactions, our emotional patterns? And I truly, deeply believe that she would say something like this: bring Allah back into your homes. Not through long speeches and lecturing each other, but through gentle presence. Bring mercy back into your tone, how you speak. Bring softness back into your reactions, how you respond to something that would normally trigger you. Bring love back into your routine. Not the same boring old stuff over and over, but how can you make it more with love? Bring connection back into your hearts. Because her home was not defined by its walls. It was defined by its energy, by its compassion, its dhikr, its oneness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we, as a family unit, individually and together, and as a community, we have the power to recreate that in our own way, in our own homes, starting tonight, inshallah, with your intention. So, as a final prayer, you can hold each other's hands together. Hold each other's hands. Let's create that connection right now together, inshallah, with the feel good, the energy that we've created, the smiles I see here. Hold hands. If you're far from each other, put your hand over your heart and the hand up in dua. If you're close to each other, oh, mashallah, look at that, look at that. Holding hands. Hold hands if you can, hand over your heart. And this is a form of therapy that we do, hand over heart. And we're going to do this dua. May Allah make your home a place where the voices soften. Listen, listen, listen. Dadash, listen. The voices soften. The hearts heal. Children feel safe. The couples, they feel supported. Parents feel honored. And siblings feel connected. May He fill your spaces with sakina, your relationships with rahmah, your speech with hikmah, wisdom, and your hearts with the noor of the Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam. May He make your home a reflection, even in the small way, of the home of Lady Fatima az-Zahra alayha as-salam, insha'Allah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم أحسنتم. Bless you. Thank you so much for being such great listeners and participants. Inshallah, now if you have any questions, together we can work on finding answers for each other, perhaps. It can be specifically about tonight's lecture, or it could be about mental health, psychology, related to that topic. I have a question. What did you gain or learn or benefit or reminded of from our discussion tonight? What was something that you benefited? Can we have somebody from the gentleman? I want to see the older gentleman answer. What was something that struck out? And you see the younger boys, how they turned and looked at you, so they're expecting an answer. Sure. One of the brothers? Okay, I have to bribe you. That's fine. I'll bribe you. How about the scent of Abul Faz? This is the scent of the shrine. One of the older aghas. I know you young aghas, mashallah, but let's encourage the older ones. They can give us some feedback. What was something? Khanum, we want the aghas involved. We'll come back to you. No, come on.
Working on our body language when we do communication in family.
Okay. Can I have one of the younger aghas give it to uncle over there? Thank you. Oh, no, together. Thank you. So body language. So being aware of that and working on that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. What's another one from the sisters? The older khanums. Yes.
So never is late to make our home safe and school place, and every time still we can work together to
Absolutely.
all members of family, even the youngest
It's
one.
never too late. You can always start over and over again. As long as I will do my best and Allah will do the rest. Inshallah. That's beautiful. It's never too late. What's another observation? Yes.
Saying zikr to say zikr with my family members. I think that was very useful.
Yeah. And it's easy to do. You can do it together because like we said, modern aid mindfulness practice is something that is being incorporated into the schools. We see from psychological research, it lowers aggression in children in the playground, brings attention back into the classroom with the studies of education, because this is a practice that we have in our traditions, subhanallah, that we see now implemented from psychology research. But we have had this all along. SubhanAllah. So creating that into your home is very powerful. If you want, inshallah, when we're finished the questions, exactly. The namaz, the jama'ah, exactly. Community together. We forget about the effect of these things, why it's recommended for us to do. When we finish the questions, let's do a mindfulness meditation together. Would you like that? You will be sleeping, I promise you. You might cry, you might sleep, you might yawn. That's good. We'll do that after. Thank you for sharing. Now let's look to questions. I do have, the screen just went off here. If you have any questions while we get this, any comments or questions? Bismillah.
اگه سوال دارین لطفاً الان بلند کنید من ترجمه میکنم.
Okay, we have two questions. One is it kind of dangerous to go to therapy with non-Muslim Western therapists for Muslim families?
That's a great question. And I hear this often, especially somebody who practices culture and faith-based counseling. And now I specifically practice with Muslim clients. A lot of Muslim Shia clients come to me because I guess I show that I do that. And I do believe that people who do not have, let's say, our understanding and our culture, they can still help. Like back when I was a student, there wasn't a lot of, hardly. I think I was the only Muslim in the class who was studying psychology. And I remember when I first started studying ilm al-nafs, ilm al-aql, my community, I'm from next to your country, I'm from Iraq, huh? And people will ask me in my community, what are you studying? They think engineer or doctor? Engineer or doctor? Nothing in between, right? And I say psychology. They're like, huh. And I'll translate. رح تصيرين مجنونة مثل هذول اللي راح تداريهم تعالجيهم. Who knows Arabic here, what I said? You're going to be just as crazy as those people you're going to treat. That's the Iraqi response to psychology. You're going to be just as crazy. But interestingly enough, in my research, because I focused on Islamic counseling and psychological theories that talked about the nafs, and the three parts of the nafs, which is very similar to Dr. Sigmund Freud rather, talked about the id, the ego, and the superego. What is that in the Islamic psychology? Nafs al-mutma'inna نفس الأمارة ونفس اللوامة. We had this in the Quran 1400 years ago. Sigmund Freud there, he figured it out 100 years ago. Kind of similar to that. So we didn't have many people studying psychology from our background, but we do have something called cultural theories. And so a non-Muslim person can still be effective in helping, even if they don't understand 100%. They can still be helpful. In fact, there are Muslim families or people from whatever cultural background you may be who prefer to go to somebody not from the same community. Why? They don't know me. They don't need to know my private stuff, right? So confidentiality could be an issue. They're worried about if they're from the same community, they're going to know about my private matters. So they go to somebody completely outside. So that can be potentially helpful. However, that being said, I do believe there is a significant positive impact when you do go to somebody of the same background. I have people seeking my services because of my background and what I have studied and how I use therapy to help heal people. Does that make sense? So really it depends, case by case situation. There's pros and cons of both, and it depends what you're seeking. Harmful could be, and I always use this joke, when, for example, now the sun goes down early, right? And when you say, you have somebody from our community who goes to somebody not from our community for therapy, and they say, you know, my dad expects me home before dark. Dark is what, 4 p.m., 5 p.m. these days? Yeah, so somebody from another culture is not going to get the idea behind why you should be home before dark. In our cultures, it's aib, it's taboo, especially Iraqi, for a girl to be outside after the sun sets. That's not good for a girl to do that. It's just a concept, right? Just a cultural thing. But somebody from another culture may not understand that. But if somebody comes to me and says, yeah, my dad expects me to be home before dark. Dark these days means 5 o'clock. I'm not going to say, oh, why? Or what's that all about? Because I'm from the same culture and background, I'm going to understand. So it reduces the amount of misunderstandings. So that can be helpful. Does that answer the question? It can be harmful when the therapist is not culturally informed. When they don't have the cultural training, how to deal with other cultures, and they're racist and they're judgmental, that's when it becomes harmful. But when a non-Muslim therapist has a good cultural lens training, they don't need to be Muslim to help somebody. It's only when they have the other stuff, the judgment, the racism, that kind of attitude, that will be harmful. Make sense?
So our next question of the day is, how does one get someone to acknowledge and then actually agree to get therapy together?
How does one get somebody to acknowledge
probably their problems,
to acknowledge their challenges,
and then actually agree to get therapy with all the stigma?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You can't force anybody to go get help, whether it's medical help or mental health support or spiritual health, right? You can do something called an intervention. If you try to hint and try to talk to them or try to tell them, I think you should go talk to somebody, I will come help you, we could go book together, that might be helpful. But if the person is in denial, they refuse to go get help, they're not acknowledging, in fact, they're saying, you are the problem, not me. Have you heard that before, perhaps? I'm not the problem, there's nothing wrong with me, you're the problem. Usually people who have narcissistic tendencies, in Arabic it's called an-narjisiyya. I don't know what's called in Farsi. Is it similar? Narjisiyya, do you have that term? Can you say it out loud? I didn't hear.
Khodshiftei.
Khodshift. Okay, I'm not going to be able. I need to write it down. I'm trying my best here. I need to write it down to see it. But the narcissism, when people have those types of tendencies, they then deflect upon another person and say, you're the problem, not me. It's very difficult, especially when you deal with families, perhaps when there's abuse and that kind of dynamic. The person may not admit it and they say, you're the problem, not me. So in these types of situations, you need more than just yourself to help. Perhaps another family member, a community member, maybe a respected scholar, an elder. Come together with love and compassion. You're not here to corner them, accuse them. You can come with love and say, we are concerned, we are a bit worried, we're here to support, we love you. We think, we should help you get help. Let's talk to somebody. And maybe you can have somebody ready that, give them their card, their name. We think, maybe you can try this person or somebody else. Perhaps there are problems with addictions. There's lots of problems and challenges when it comes to mental health in our community. And I don't want to get too deep because we have young ears here tonight, but perhaps in the future we could have a session just for adults, and then we can talk about challenges. Every community, wherever I travel worldwide, subhanAllah, copy, paste, wherever we are. All of these challenges are the same challenges that we all have. And as we see through the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, salamullah alayhim, we want to work on repairing, healing, right? In the end, when it comes to healing our communities, we want to be mentally strong and resilient and at peace, atmi'nan, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Why? Why? Who are we preparing ourselves for? Yes, but who? Let's go a little bit more here. Preparation, intidar. Whom? Ahsantum. For the Imam of our time. The Imam is only going to come to communities who are emotionally stable, emotionally strong, ready spiritually, physically for him. And that's why it's important we talk about mental health and mental wellness in our community. It's part of a holistic everything together. Not just physical and spirituality, but here and here. That has to be not perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect, right? But we do our best to being stable and strong. And that's why psychology, ilm al-nafs, mental health and well-being is very important in preparation for the Imam. And it starts young with our children in our homes, right? Any other comments or questions?
We have another anonymous one, and it is, what do I do when my spouse is always angry? How can I have them work on their emotional regulation? They say other parents are like that too, as if it's normal.
Yes. I think anger is a very common cultural expression in our communities. When somebody has anger, it means there's something off here. It's a sign that something needs to be worked on and healed. Sometimes it's a personality trait. Like in my family, anger is known. People are asabi all the time, right? It's not really akhlaq of the Ahlul Bayt, salamullah alayhim, right? But usually when there's anger, it's a sign we need to explore. There's something deeper going on. Resentment, frustration, lack of communication, maybe physical health, lack of sleep, stress. There's something there that's affecting the anger. So, with the intervention, you can try to get the other spouse to reflect, say, you want to be ready for the Imam, like larger picture. You want to be prepared, ready for the Imam? We need to work on these qualities together, right? But day to day, there are absolutely challenges in our day-to-day school, academics, work, making enough money, paying the bills, cleaning the house, etc. All of these things can lead to anger, right? If we go deeper, perhaps there's trauma involved. Maybe this person has a lot of anger built up because of past history of trauma. So there's so many different ways of answering this type of question, because it's a very individual case-by-case situation as well, right? So depending on the situation, if you want to come talk to me after or reach out to me, you can get my card here, email me, and then we can have a chat, inshallah. Because it's hard to give a specific answer for something that could be very general. But essentially, it could be any of those things. What do you think? You have a question? Go ahead. So you want to give her the mic?
So you spoke so much about the Quran.
So they can hear you.
You spoke very much about the Quran and giving us the framework of Fatimah al-Zahra alayhi salam, giving us the framework for a compassionate home, having mercy, rahmah, everything that's in the Quran about family. Why do you think that the stigma in different cultures has not taught that throughout the generations, and recently it's becoming
Are we listening?
aware?
Are we listening to the question? It's a good question. Can you repeat the last part? Why? But put the microphone close.
Why do you think that these traits have not been taught throughout the generations, and the stigma, and it's just bringing the awareness now, when the stigma all along has been more hierarchy and narcissism, dismissive, and no emotional regulation?
What a great question. And there's many ways of answering this, and I think it has to do with a few factors. In no particular order. Trauma. A lot of us carry perhaps trauma, whether it's family or war related. A lot of us come from different generations and we're immigrants. So we've been in what? Survival mode. Just trying to pay the bills, trying to get our degrees equivalents here, trying to reach some kind of social status of acceptance. We're going after dunyawi, materialistic things at the same time, right? And it's go, go, go without awareness until things fall apart and break. And then we take a step back and say, what do we need to do here to fix the issue, if there is that awareness? So there's a lot of stigma with that. And I do believe we're in constant survival mode. And now we've come to a time where if you look at the whole political, social, everything that's happening in the world, how the awareness is becoming now. It's almost like as Muslims, we have to take a step back and look at our identities. How do we fit here? Like we were asking real questions in response to what is happening around us in the world, where there's also the colonialism and how it's affected us. If we look at our own beautiful history, we have so much rich Islamic history, so much rich in the Iranian Persian culture, in the Arab culture. If we look back at our history, we have amazing, amazing histories, whether it's through architecture, education, knowledge, medicine. If we look back, we've had all of this that they're only now learning about in modern science, technology, psychology, research. Our cultures are ancient. We've had this all along. For example, in my own culture, Iraqi culture, I can never say it right, cuneiform was the first form of writing that was known to man. The arch is an architectural design that was first founded in ancient Iraq. Although I'm sure every culture comes and says, no, it's ancient Egypt, no, it's ancient Persia, no, it's ancient Greece, right? But if you go back, I don't know, have any of you been to Iraq? Yes? Have you been to the ancient city of Babylon? No? We don't go to those places. We just go to ziyarah and that's it, right? But Iraq has a lot of ancient history. And one time I was driving from Baghdad to Karbala, and en route I saw the ancient city of Babylon. And I wanted to drive because there's nobody on the road. And then I told my driver, I'm going to go there. And I turned and I went into the ancient city of Babylon. And I stayed 2 hours there before it hit 40 degrees in the morning. And I walked amongst the ancient ruins thinking, wow, 3,000 to 5,000 years ago, they had amazing technology. They had an ancient sewage system underneath the ground that you could see still intact, that they had thousands of years ago, that even now in some countries they don't have. When you look back at your history and we look at how colonialism has put a stop to it, like, okay, hold on. We're only showing what we learn in school. I was one of those people. I grew up here in the West and I learned about ancient Egypt and Greece, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's amazing. But then when I grew up and I went to Iraq, I found these ancient civilization sites. And then when I came back and I was teaching at a school, students who are grade 4 and 5 at an Islamic school, shout out Ahl al-Bayt Islamic School in Ottawa. So when I taught grade 4 and 5, by the way, I was also a student in grad school while I was teaching the students, I showed them the videos and the pictures that I took in the ancient sites. And when we learned about the class of ancient civilizations, I didn't just show them ancient Greece and ancient Egypt, which is what I learned. I showed them the Phoenician history, because there were a lot of Lebanese students. We looked at Persian history, and we looked at Mesopotamian, which is ancient Iraq history. So the kids who are Iranian, who are Iraqi and Lebanese, they were like, oh, wow. They got a chance to learn about ancient civilization from their own cultures. So it's a different feel and pride to definitely what I learned. And when we learned about the Middle Ages, I learned to build castles. Well, guess what we taught the kids? We built what? What do you think we built? Mosques, right? We looked at the architecture, the arches, Islamic art, and of course, mashallah, in Iran, the beautiful Islamic architecture is stunning. What happens to the sense of a child, or even us, like right now, we're smiling, we're like, we're proud. We're proud of what we have. But those of us who grew up here, we did not have that. I was one of those people. I did not know about these things until I got older, and I had the opportunity to show my younger brothers and sisters what we have in our own cultures. So that link was missed. But those of us who are older, who came from abroad, who came from our countries and came here, we know what we have back home. And although as parents we try to teach our kids, it's not the same until they hear it from their own peers or somebody they know here. Because I know when those kids in my class, when they saw I still remember till now, they tell me now they're moms and dads, those students, and they remember, oh, when I was in grade 5, we built mosques. We learned about our ancient history. And so you see how to answer that question is by learning what we already have and being proud of that. Learning about our identity, especially those of us who grew up here. Because this is where the intergenerational challenges come in. For the parents and grandparents who came from our countries here, you probably find it very challenging to try to connect with the kids here. The clash. But now there's an awareness of our own history, our own beauty of what we have, and pride, and being proud of that. And there's a beauty in being proud of our own as well, and learning about each other, right? Inshallah, tomorrow night, we're going to have an activity here for the youth. And we're going to learn about being proud as Shia Muslims, inshallah. That's going to be fun. So I encourage the youth, inshallah, definitely to come tomorrow and get involved. I hope that kind of answered the question a little bit. Yeah, it's a great question. And it has to do with relearning our own history for those of us who don't know. Like I'm amongst the generations who grew up here. I had to relearn. I had to learn and find pride in my hijab, in my faith, in my culture, connecting with other like-minded people of faith and culture, right? And inshallah, we can continue that growth and knowledge of what we already have. Any other questions or comments?
I think that's about it.
But
okay.
There's a hand there.
Okay, I think we're running out of time for questions.
8 o'clock.
Okay, but thank you so much for speaking.
Can we get him to ask quickly? We don't want to leave that. Quickly, huh? Quickly ask your question. Thank you.
For the stress management, can you use other stuff like yoga or maybe praying to relieve stress?
Absolutely. By the way,
just quickly. Less than a minute.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
By the way, what does yoga look like anyways? It looks like the movement of our salah that we've had 1,400 years ago, that only now they're saying, oh wow, look at the benefits of yoga, or look at the benefits of salah, right? So absolutely. Inshallah, if you want, Monday night at the university, we're going to be doing a workshop over there at the university on stress management. So those of you who are interested, you could join us at the university, inshallah. Inshallah, your community leaders will send you the poster and you can come join us there. And in the future, we'll do a special stress management workshop for you here.
Thank you so much.
Bless you.
A loud salawat, please.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
اللهم صل وسلم على السيدة الجليلة الجميلة المعصومة المظلومة ذات الأحزان الطويلة في المدة القليلة المجهولة قدرا والمخفية قبرا والمدفونة سرا والمغصوبة جهرا المكسورة ضلعها والمقتول ولدها والمظلوم بعلها سيدة النساء فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام.
الرحمن الرحیم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكن أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء. امشب چون وقتمونم کم هست من دیگه مقدمه سازی نمیتونم بکنم. امشب از زبان امیرالمؤمنین در این روزها و حال و هوای منزل حضرت و حال و هوای بیبی حضرت زهرا انشاءالله تا هر وقت که وقت اجازه بده در خدمتون خواهیم بود. من علیم که دلم واهمه از غم نکند، تا بود فاطمه کس پشت مرا خم نکند. من علیم که دلم واهمه از کس نکند، تا بود فاطمه کس پشت مرا خم نکند. کم بود عمر 200 نوح اگر دست اجل سایه فاطمه را از سر من کم نکند. ولی کاری کردن بر بیبی حضرت زهرا سلام الله علیها که این سخن ورد زبانها افتاد که دیدی آخر علی از پا افتاد. علی که پشت همه پهلوان‌های عرب و به خاک مالیده بود، گفتن چه کنیم که این علی رو از پا در بیاریم. جسارت کردند به بیبی حضرت زهرا سلام الله علیها. حالا در وادی محبت این زن و شوهر، این آقا و خانم غریب نشستن و با هم دارن درد دل میکنن، مخصوصا از زبان امیرالمؤمنین علی علیه السلام. عروس خانه من ای جوان بمان بانو، تمام دلخوشیم مهربان بمان بانو. میان ماندن و رفتن نمان بمان بانو. ستاره دلم ای آسمان بمان بانو. به چشم خون شده لبریز گفتگوی توام، به چشم خون شده لبریز گفتگوی توام. من این غریب مدینه که روبروی توام. دلم پر است عزیزم از این پریشانی، دلم پر است عزیزم خودت که میدانی. دلم پر است در این غربت زمستانی، دلم پر است عزیزم بگو که میمانی. دلم پر است بیا زار زار گریه کنیم، ببار ابر بهارم بیا گریه کنیم. نگاه دور و برت کن به اشک ما و بمان، بیست مثل گذشته به روی پا و بمان. تمام عمر خودم میشوم عصا و بمان. بگیر روز من، اشکالی نداره زهرا جان، بگیر روز من اصلا ولی بیا و بمان. قبول گرچه کمانی برای من کافی است، همین قدر که بمانی برای من کافی است. تو ماه بودی و کوهی تو را به آتش کشست، تو ماه بودی و کوهی تو را به آه شکست. تو کوه بودی و از هیبت تو ماه شکست. پناه بی کسیم آه پناهم شکست. شکستی و پس از آن پشت این سپاه شکست. اگرچه دستت شکسته، اگرچه بیماری، هنوز بین سپاه علی علم داری. 3 ماه رفته ولی یک خبر نیامده است، هنوز حوصله زخم سر نیامده است. 3 ماه رفته کسی پشت در نیامده است، برای دیدن تو یک نفر نیامده است. 3 ماه مثل تو هر روز محتضر شده ام، شکسته تر شده ای و شکسته تر شده ام. تو جای ساختن و سوختن عوض کردی، در این 3 ماه شب و روز من عوض کردی. حسن رسید و دوباره سخن عوض کردی، در این 3 ماه فقط پیرهن عوض کردی. لباس هم به تنت گریه می کند زهرا، لباس هم به تنت گریه می کند زهرا. به هر نفس زدنت گریه می کند زهرا. دوباره شب شد و تا صبح لاله می کاری، دوباره شب شد و از درد سینه بیداری. از آسمان نگاهت ستاره می باری، چقدر لکه خون روی پیرهن داری. نفس به سینه خسته مزاحمت دارد، نفس به سینه خسته مزاحمت دارد و دنده ای که شکسته مزاحمت دارد. به جز علی چه کسی نیم دیگرت میشد، شبیه آینه ای در برابرت میشد، تمام عمر نگهبان معجرت میشد. عزیز کرده ی حیدر تو باورت میشد که دست من به طناب مغیره بسته شود، دری که سوخته شد با لگد شکسته شود. خدا نکرده اگر پهلوی تو خوب نشد، اگر جراحت در بر روی تو خوب نشد، شکاف زخم روی ابروی تو خوب نشد، و یا اگر ورم بازوی تو خوب نشد، چگونه بعد تو این سر به شانه بند شود، چگونه پیش پیمبر سرم بلند شود. عزیز این همه خونین جگر نبودی اگر، و ناگزیر هوای سفر نبودی اگر، به روز حادثه در پشت در نبودی اگر، پناه خستگی من اگر نبودی اگر، میان آن همه دشمن چه کار می کردم، چه کار بی تو در این روزگار می کردم. هنوز مانده به یادم که پشت پا خوردی، چقدر لطمه تو از دست مردها خوردی. کشیده ای تو ز دیوار بی هوا خوردی، کشیده ای تو ز دیوار بی هوا خوردی. رسید چکمه ای و زیر ضربه تا خوردی، میان آن همه دود و کشاکش و فریاد به میخ رو زدم، به میخ رو زدم و روی من زمین افتاد. همه توان مرا می زدند نامردان، عزیز جان مرا می زدند نامردان، زن جوان مرا می زدند نامردان، و مهربان مرا می زدند نامردان. حریم خانه من غرق در جسارت بود، و میخ راوی خونین این قساوت بود. زدن به شیوه نامرد خنجر از پشت است، غلاف تیغ مغیره به نیت کشت است. به روی صورت تو جای 4 انگشت است، دلیل گودی چشم تو ضربه مشت است. مرا چه سخت از آن روز تار میبینی، میان حاله دود و غبار میبینیم. صدای شکستن صدای ناموس است. غرور له شده از ماجرای ناموس است. میان خانه ز خون رد پای ناموس است. هر آنچه میکشم از دردهای ناموس است. خدا کند که جبینی ز داغ چین نخورد. به پیش دیده شوهر زنی زمین نخورد. خدا کند که جبینی ز داغ چین نخورد. به پیش دیده شوهر زنی زمین نخورد. منم بند آخر انشالله تقدیم کنم. میان حجره پر از بوی سیب گودال است. سفارش تو به زینب قریب گودال است. در انتهای نگاه تو شیب گودال است. به زیر حنجر شیب الخزیب گودال است. دوباره دست کشیده به روی ماه حسین. چه طول می کشد این شرح بوسگاه حسین. دعا بکن که به گودال مبهمش نکنند و ذره ذره به شمشیرها گمش نکنند. به نعل تازه روی خاک در همش نکنند. دهاتیان به روی بوریا جمعش نکنند. سلام علیک یا ابا عبدالله. السلام علی الحسین و علی علی ابن الحسین و علی اولاد الحسین و علی اصحاب الحسین. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. السلام علیکم یا اهل بیت النبوة و موضع الرسالة و مختلف الملائكة. آجرك الله یا صاحب الزمان بمصيبة جدتك الزهراء. تو خط روزه میخونم و بعدم چند دقیقه سینه زنی عرض ادب بکنیم. روزه اینه که اون شبی که علی علیه السلام داشت غسل میداد خانم رو، اسما آب میریخت. به بچه ها گفته بود آروم گریه کنن، یه وقت بچه ها مردم مدینه بیدار نشن، آروم گریه کنی. حرفاشو با عزیزش زد، اما زهرا عمرش به دنیا نبود. یه وقت دست از غسل کشید، سر به دیوار گذاشت. علی شروع کرد بلند بلند گریه کردن. علی مگه نگفتی بچه ها آروم گریه کنن؟ چرا خودت بلند بلند گریه میکنی؟ اون موقعی که زهرا رو دفن کرد، وقتی کار دفن تمام شد، گفت حسنم بلند شو، حسینم دیگه گریه نکن. یه مرد تنها شده بود، با تن تا بچه کوچیک حرکت کرد. آرام آرام وقتی میگم، وقتی به کوچه بنی هاشم رسید چه حالی پیدا کرد. وقتی در نیم سوخت در را باز کرد. آخ یه چیزی دیدم تو روایت، دلم سوخت اینو به شما بگم. خانم بین در و دیوار فرمود یا فزه الیک فخذینی. دقت کنید، نفرمود فز بیاها، فرمود یا فز خذینی، یعنی فز مرا بگیر، یعنی دارم میافتم، بیا منو بگیر. یا فز تو الیک فخذینی، فقد والله قتله ما فی احشایی من حیمل. فز به دادم برس، به خدا محزنم زل شد. همه بگین یا زهرا یا زهرا یا زهرا. چادرت را بتکان روزی ما را بفرست ای که روزی دعا لم همه از چادر تو. روزی چادر وصله دار خانم. چادرت را بتکان روزی ما را بفرست ای که روزی دعا لم همه از چادر توست. ای مادر ای مادر ای مادر، همین رو زمزمه. ای مادر ای مادر ای مادر، چادرت را بتکان روزی ما را بفرست ای که روزی دعا لم همه از چادر توست. چادرت را بتکان روزی ما را بفرست ای که روزی دعا لم همه از چادر توست. ای مادر ای مادر سعی کن بگی مادر ای مادر ای مادر ای مادر، من از خاک پای تو سر بر ندارم، من از خاک پای تو سر بر ندارم، مگر لحظه ای که دگر سر ندارم، مگر لحظه ای که دگر سر ندارم. من از خاک پای تو سر بر ندارم، من از خاک پای تو سر بر ندارم، مگر لحظه ای که دگر سر ندارم، مگر لحظه ای که دگر سر ندارم. مگیر از سرت سایه چادرت را، پناهی از این خیمه بهتر ندارم، پناهی از این خیمه بهتر ندارم. چادرت را بتکان روزی ما را بفرست ای که روزی دعا لم همه یه بار دیگه چادرت بتکان روزی ما را بفرست ای که روزی فاطمه نور چشم پیامبر، فاطمه راز آیات کوثر، ای فدای تو جان دو عالم، خم شد از دوریت پشت حیدر. فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه فاطمه جان، ای که مهر تو در تار و پودم، فاطمه یاس پهلو کبودم. بعد از آن ماجرا آتش در شعله زد بر تمام وجودم. فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه فاطمه جان، فاطمه
به جان ای گدای درت باد و باران، فهم تو فهم آیات قرآن. ای خوشا لحظه های شهادت، نام تو بر زبان شهیدان. فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه 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 جان، فاطمه فاطمه فاطمه. یاد شبهای بقی، یاد قبری بی نشان، آتش زد بر جانمان زهرا یا زهرا. دلتنگی های حسن، بغض لرزان حسین، اشک چشم زینبین، غمهای مولا. یاد شبهای بقی، یاد قبری بی نشان، آتش زد بر جانمان زهرا یا زهرا. دلتنگی های حسن، بغض لرزان حسین، اشک چشم زینبین، غمهای مولا. اشک ما نظر روزه زهراست، اشک ما نظر روزه زهراست. چادر خاکی شروع کرب و بلاست. ما و عشق و انتظار تا باز آید آن سوار، در دستانش ذوالفقار بقیت الله. خورشید فردا بیا، آرام دلها بیا، فرزند زهرا بیا یا حجت الله. ما و عشق و انتظار تا باز آید آن سوار، در دستانش ذوالفقار بقیت الله. خورشید فردا بیا، آرام دلها بیا، فرزند زهرا بیا یا حجت الله. میرسد مولا مهدی زهرا، همه میرسد مولا مهدی زهرا. می شود پیدا مزار مادر ما، میرسد مولا مهدی زهرا، میرسد مولا مهدی زهرا. می شود پیدا مزار مادر ما، میرسد مولا مهدی زهرا، میرسد مولا مهدی زهرا. می شود پیدا مزار ما. نسألك للحسن عجل على ظهوره يا حجة ابن الحسن، يا حجة ابن الحسن، يا حجة ابن الحسن. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم، بحق إمام زماننا يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر واجعلنا في زمرته و شیعته. بار پروردگارا در ظهور ولی نعمت ما تعجیل بفرما، رب آقامون از ما راضی و خوشنود بدار. خدایا به پهلوی شکسته بیبی خانوم فاطمه زهرا آبروی ما مریز، گناهان ما بریز. خدایا آنی و کمتر از آنی ما را به خود وامگذار. همه مریضان اسلام، مریضان منظور، همه را از شفاخانه کرمت شفای عاجل عنایت فرما. لحظه ما را از قرآن و اهل بیت جدا مفرما. گرفتاری ها و بلاها و فتنه ها که مسلمین و شیعیان در همه جهان دارند خدایا خودت به کرمت رفع بفرما. خداوندا در دنیا از زیارت و در آخرت از شفاعت ائمه اطهار ما را بهره مند فرما. ما و نسل ما جز به سینه زنان و محبین اهل بیت قرار بده. شادی ارواح طیبه شهدا، علما، صلحا، گذشتگان جمع، همه اموات مؤمنین و مؤمنات، الى ارواحهم جمیعا رحم الله. من يقرأ الفاتحة تسبقها صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد.
ماما میگه
برای پذیرایی امشب خانواده های حجازینیا، مقیمی و 2 تا دیگه از دوستان که نخواستن اسمشون گفته بشه به صلاح اسپانسر شدن. برای سلامتی خودشون و خانوادهشون و شادی روح درگذشتگانشون یه صلوات مرحمت کنیم به همراه یه فاتحه. خیلی ممنون. الله